Now I'm going to turn to the Green Party nominee, Jill Stein. She joins me now. Let me start with a question that I asked of Governor Johnson, which is, do you think 15% is a fair threshold?
You know, I think the American people are clamoring for more voices and more choices. The American people dislike and distrust the two establishment candidates. I think the American people not only have a right to vote, but they have a right to know who they can vote for. And as a candidate like Gary Johnson on the ballot for just about every voter that has actually a mathematical potential of winning the race, voters have a right to know about us. The Commission on Presidential Debates is controlled by the Democratic and Republican parties. This commission was called a fraud being perpetrated on the American public by both Walter Cronkite and by the League of Women Voters. I think we need a public service set of debates that actually informs and empowers voters, especially when they are tearing their hair out at these two terrible choices that have both been a part of the system, this rigged system that's throwing people under the bus.
But with all due respect, why shouldn't there be a threshold? Why shouldn't there be you have to meet some minimum requirements beyond ballot access?
Well, in fact, if you look at Donald Trump, he got $2 billion worth of free media, and that was about 2 months ago. Hillary Clinton got $1 billion worth of free media. Senator Sanders got about half of that. Gary Johnson has gotten a little bit, and I've gotten almost none. So I think this is not what democracy looks like. Voters are clamoring for something else. Who is the big corporate media to deny voters the right to know who they actually can vote for, to create real jobs, to end the climate crisis, to cancel student debt, like we did for the crooks on Wall Street? We can do that for the young people. And to make higher education free, it actually pays for itself. These are the solutions my campaign is talking about. Gary Johnson has his. Voters deserve to know what their choices actually are to get them out of this hole that they are stuck in.
For what it's worth, we as news organizations have nothing to do with the Commission on Presidential Debates, and I just wanted to get that clarification out there. Let me ask you this. You know, one of the reasons Hillary Clinton's opening up a lead is skeptical Sanders supporters pre-convention. We're seeing more of them move over to her than you, and I think a lot of people wondered, could you woo some of these voters? Many of them have not come your way. Why do you think that is?
Well, it would be nice if they were informed. It would be nice if we were being covered so that they knew about us. I'm sure you were at the convention, and what you saw there was people saying, Jill, not Hill, carrying our signs around. We saw the delegates streaming over to our campaign. I was propelled forward in the rallies where I became really the headliner of these rallies that I had nothing to do with organizing. So we've seen on the day that Bernie endorsed Hillary, we saw the floodgates open to our campaign. Donations, volunteers, help getting on the ballot, and I encourage people to go to Jill2016.com and join that team.
Fair enough. Let me ask you this, though. Some Democrats, in wooing Bernie voters at the convention, used Ralph Nader's name and said in 2000, look at the difference Ralph Nader made in New Hampshire. Look at the difference a Ralph Nader voter made in the state of Florida. Let me ask you, are you comfortable if your percentage was seen as the difference between Trump carrying a state and Clinton carrying a state? If your voters prevented Clinton from carrying it, but gave it to Trump and gave him the presidency, would you be comfortable with that?
I'm not comfortable with Donald Trump getting elected, and I'm not comfortable with Hillary Clinton getting elected. Donald Trump says despicable things. He's a demagogue. Hillary Clinton, on the other hand, has a really terrible track record. Who led us into Libya? The utter catastrophe that we are still fighting now in Libya. Who wants to start an air war over Syria with Russia that could lead us into a nuclear conflagration?
So you view this as equally bad. You think the two choices are equally bad. You don't believe one's worse than the other.
I don't think what Donald Trump says is worse than actually what Hillary Clinton, in fact, has done. So Donald Trump says, horrible things about immigrants, but Hillary Clinton, on the other hand, has been dropping bombs. She approved that war in Iraq that killed 1 million people alone in Iraq. I think we're in a very dangerous situation right now. If you look at the $6 trillion that we have spent on these wars against terror, they've only created worse terrorist threats, mass refugee migrations, and failed states. And that $6 trillion comes down to about $50,000 per American family by the time we've paid for the health care for our wounded veterans. So we're not going forward. If you look at the climate crisis, there again, Donald Trump is all for coal, which is horrible.
Okay.
But Hillary has spread fracking around the world. So we need to stand up. We're the ones who have the solutions. We're the ones we've been waiting for. We say reject the lesser evil, fight for the greater good, like our lives depend on it.
Well, Dr. Jill Stein, we may be owned by a corporate partner, but as you can see right here in MTP Daily, we are all for making sure everybody has their voice heard.
Greatly appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on. Still ahead, we are auditing